You know this is just your abandonment pattern talking, right? Your therapist would probably say you're projecting right now. She said it like a diagnosis.
Maybe you're right. She said it like a diagnosis, like she was helping. Like the 40 minutes he'd spent in that therapist's office, the parts he'd brought home and laid at her feet because he trusted her, were just ammunition she'd been sorting and saving for the right moment. This was the right moment. He looked at her. He understood, for the first time, the specific cost of having been known.
I'm not attacking you. I'm observing a pattern. There's a difference.
You told me I was emotionally unavailable because I didn't want to go to your sister's birthday.
I said you were displaying emotional unavailability, which is a behavior, not an identity. I'm trying to speak your language here.
Your therapist literally uses that framework. That's not my language.
Your therapist literally uses that framework.
You've never met my therapist.
You've told me enough. And what you've described is classic avoidant attachment. When things feel emotionally demanding, you withdraw. You've said that yourself, in those exact words.
I said that once, about something specific.
Patterns don't disappear because they're inconvenient to acknowledge.
She had a system. He'd given it to her piece by piece, session by session, thinking vulnerability was the same as intimacy. It isn't. Vulnerability is information. What someone does with your information, that's intimacy. Or the absence of it.
I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm genuinely worried. You've been so closed off lately and I don't know how to reach you. I feel like I'm losing you, and every time I try to talk about it, you either shut down or you turn it into a debate.
I asked you a question about dinner plans.
And I answered it. And then you got defensive, which, and I say this with so much love, is also a pattern we've talked about. Your therapist called it a protective response to perceived criticism. You perceive criticism where there isn't any, and then you armor up.
He said that in a specific context.
Context is how patterns hide, Damien.
Are you angry about the dinner?
What?
The original question. Your sister's birthday. Are you angry I didn't want to go?
It's not that simple. This isn't about the dinner anymore.
I know. I'm asking if it ever was.
You know what your problem is? You want everything to be simple. You want a simple fight you can win with logic. But relationships aren't logic problems. Emotional intelligence isn't your strong suit. You've said that yourself. And instead of working on it, you keep trying to reduce everything to a clean argument so you can feel competent.
So now I'm emotionally unintelligent.
I'm saying you struggle with it. There's a difference.
You said I said that about myself.
You did.
I said I was still learning. That's not the same thing.
You said...
I know what I said, Serena. I was there. I know what I said, Serena. I was there. She'd taken I'm still learning and filed it under I struggle with emotional intelligence. Close enough that it sounded right, different enough that it quietly rewrote him.
I just want us to be okay. I want to marry someone who's willing to grow. And lately, I don't feel that from you. I feel like you've closed a door and I'm standing outside it and I don't even know what I did.
You turned my therapy into a filing system.
That is not.
Every fight for the last 4 months, you cite something I told you from a session.
I don't do that.
You just did. You reframe it. You use the language I gave you to describe a version of me. This justifies whatever you're feeling at the time.
I am trying to communicate using your framework.
It's not my framework, it's my private work. And you've been using it as a manual.
I can't believe you're making me feel unsafe for trying to understand you.
That's the 4th clinical term in 10 minutes.
I'm just being precise.
It feels distant.
Safer.
She didn't respond to that, the 4th clinical term comment. She let it sit in the room for a moment, then picked up her wine glass and walked to the kitchen like the conversation had taken a natural pause. It hadn't. Damien followed. Not fast, not urgent. The way a man follows when he's not chasing. Just continue.
When did you start reading about attachment theory?
I've always been interested in psychology.
Specifically, when?
I don't know. A year ago? Why does that matter?
Because a year ago is when I started therapy.
That's a coincidence.
Is it?
I don't know what you're implying, but it feels paranoid. And I gently push back on that because paranoia in relationships is often...
Don't. I want to ask you something and I want you to actually think before you answer.
Okay.
In the last 6 months, how many times have you used something I told you from therapy to win an argument?
I haven't been trying to win.
How many times?
I can't just...
Ballpark. He didn't move. And in that silence, in the 10 or 12 seconds she spent not answering a question that should have been easy to answer, she told him everything he needed to know. Some confessions don't need words. They just need enough quiet for the truth to become uncomfortable.
I was trying to understand you better. That's all. I wanted to speak your language. I wanted to meet you where you were.
I know. I believe that's what it started as.
So then,
But somewhere it became something else.
what does that mean?
It means when you're losing an argument about dinner plans, you shouldn't be able to reach for my abandonment history like it's a card in your wallet.
I don't know how to fight with you any other way. You're so contained. You never give me anything to work with. I learned your language because it was the only way to get through.
That part, I understand.
Then,
But understanding why someone does something and accepting what they did are different rooms, Serena. I've been living in both of them for 4 months.
He didn't leave that night. That's the part that surprises people. He made tea, watched something on television, went to bed at the same time she did, said goodnight.
good night.
She probably thought they'd gotten through it. They hadn't.
You're up early. You okay?
Yep,
You've been quiet.
I've been thinking.
About Tuesday?
About the engagement.
What about it?
I don't think we should get married right now.
Okay, I hear that. Can we talk about what's driving that? Because I think Tuesday was a hard night, but every couple has hard nights, and I don't think one argument should...
Serena, it's not just one night.
I know, but please, let's just talk.
It wasn't one argument.
I know it's been a pattern, and I own that. I do. I got defensive, and I used things I shouldn't have used, and I'm willing to work on that. We can do couples therapy. I'll stop using the framework.
Serena, I know you mean that right now.
So what, that's it? You've decided without me we're engaged, Damien. You don't just get to decide that alone.
I've been deciding for 4 months.
I just didn't want to believe what I was deciding.
You're not a bad person, Serena. I want you to know I don't think that.
Then why?
Because good people can still take you apart. Slowly. With the best intentions.
She stood in the kitchen for a long time. The key beside the coffee maker. His mug still warm on the counter. She picked it up and held it with both hands, didn't drink from it, just held it. The way you hold something when you're trying to understand how it got so light. Nobody warns you about this kind of thing. The pamphlets on toxic relationships, if such things exist, they show you the obvious version, the screaming, the control, the clear villain with clear intentions. They don't show you this. The person who loves you and studies you at the same time. Who listens to your most carefully excavated truths and files them somewhere useful. Who isn't doing it to hurt you. Who is doing it because they're afraid, and fear makes people reach for whatever's available. That's the part that makes it hard. Because you can't hate it cleanly. Damien had given her access to his interior, the parts most men don't show anyone, because he thought that's what building something real required. He wasn't wrong, but access isn't the same as safety. And he'd confused the two for long enough. Epictetus wrote, first, say to yourself what you would be. Not what you've been, not what she needed you to be. What you would be. Damien had spent 4 months watching himself become a collection of case notes in someone else's hands. And one quiet Tuesday night, not dramatically, not all at once, he decided to stop being readable. Not closed, not armored, just his. The engagement ring sat in her jewelry box for 11 days before she moved it. He knew because she told him later in a text he read once and didn't answer.
Not because he was cruel. Because some messages are the other person closing a door they should have closed themselves. And the kindest thing you can do is let them.
And meant it. The therapist didn't push. Maybe he understood. Or maybe Damien had finally learned what his sessions were actually for. You've told someone something you shouldn't have. Not because they were dangerous. Because you wanted to be known. The question, the one Damien never answered, not out loud. He never told anyone why he really ended it. Not his brother, not his therapist. He had one session after, sat in the chair, looked at the ceiling, and when his therapist asked how he was doing, he said fine. Was whether he'd do it again. Whether the cost of being known is one you pay once and learn from, or one you keep paying because the alternative is a life lived entirely inside yourself. He didn't know. Maybe that's the honest answer. Maybe that's the only one worth keeping. If this story hit you, leave a comment with the word clarity. And if you're not already subscribed, do it now. More real Stoic stories for men drop every week.